of you I met before, even though it's a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But no, that's great. Look at, like Chris said, sometimes the machines need some love. It looks like your guys are taking good care of it. Of course, it's a pretty friendly environment. Sometimes we go to automotive manufacturing and places are pretty grungy and dirty. But let's take a look at a couple things. One of the first things I like to do is come over here and look at the recovery tank. And yeah, it looks like it's been used recently. It's being emptied, and we know the debris cage. So that's one of the first things I like to look at, and just to make sure that is good. It could be a little cleaner, but we can talk about that. The other thing I like to do is come over here and check the battery situation. So these batteries are not the original batteries to the machines, from what I can tell, but they are maintenance-free batteries. These were recently probably put in, I'm guessing, right? Okay, good. I like the fact that they're the right batteries. Sometimes we see people that try to do batteries on their own, and they get the wrong type of battery. It's not a deep cycle battery, it might even be a wet battery. But these batteries were done by somebody that knew what they were doing, because they were put in and it's compatible with the charger. The charger and the batteries have to be compatible, because there's different charger settings for different types of batteries, right? So I'm glad to see that. What I like to do on my training is I'm going to follow the flow of the solution. When I follow the flow of the solution, we're going to stop along the way and talk about things. But if we follow the flow of the solution, we will touch on each system in this machine. And if there's any questions, this isn't a classroom, you don't have to raise your hand. You can just say, hey, Zoom, say that again, or hey, I got a question. Just fire it out, okay? We're all on the same team here. So with that being said,
Hey, Pete?
Yes.
I was going to ask, if you open it up,
Yep.
that bottle that's there, is that where the chemical goes?
Well, we're going to follow the flow of the solution.
I'm sorry for interrupting.
That's okay. But the two things I like to check initially on an inspecting machine is the recovery tank and the batteries. That tells me a lot about it. And you guys got a B, maybe a B plus, because it's looking good. Okay, I'm gonna, how long has the machine been plugged in for?
We're done in the afternoon, in the morning.
Okay, good.
Just in the morning, it's cooled in the night.
Good. I'm going to go ahead and unplug it, and we're going to bring it out to the middle here so we can take a closer look at some things. And go from here. So the key is in here, which is great. I'm going to power it up. Look at that, you still left the screen protector on there. Usually, like when somebody gets a new phone, the first thing they do is take off the screen protector. Okay. 86 hours on the machine.
Yeah, it's a little hours.
Pretty low
during
miles.
September.
86 hours on the machine. The machine left our factory in 2023 based on our serial number here.
This one was purchased last year.
Right, and May of 23 is when it left our factory, and that's good. Somebody lost an earring. Where's the parrot? Whose earring is it? It's yours. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Again, I want to follow the flow of the solution. So if we come back here, this is where we put in our clean water. Most people probably know this. You've used this machine. This is where you fill it with water. And you do have a machine. I hope you're filling this with water and water only, right?
Yes, only water.
Only water.
I use everything.
Okay, good.
I got 20 years. Very much.
This is your sight tube. You got the little red bowl in there, and it floats, and you can see how much water's in here. Here's a half a tank. Here's 3/4 of a tank. That's down low. This is also where you could, if you had to, drain the water. So it's good. It seems like it's water only, which is great. And we want to use water only in that tank. I know you can put cleaning product in there, but you've got a system which we'll talk about, which Chris pointed out earlier, called EcoFlex. And that's our economic and flexible onboard dilution control system. We'll talk about that. The first thing the water's going to do is come over here to this filter. And here is the filter. And there's also a valve back here where you can shut that off. I'm going to go ahead and shut that off now, but want to make sure of a couple things here before I do it. I'm going to turn this blue valve.
Llave de agua, paso.
And borrow that rag. I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to let everybody come under here and see it.
Cuando pasa el agua.
So I'm happy. I see a little bit of basura, but that is okay.
Yeah, pero es a little. Yeah, I know.
Just a little bit, and that's okay.
Yes.
So there's a blue ball valve back here, a little handle, switch right here, and this allows you to shut the water off before you take this off.
Okay.
Because if I didn't shut that valve off, I'd have water dumping out right now. Who's been taking this out? Congratulations. You?
Thank you.
Thank you. This is good. And there's a couple parts here. There's a gasket up there, but this can just be rinsed underwater. This sets right in there, and this just screws back in hand tight. No special tools required. We've had people call us saying there's not enough water coming out. And you can imagine, we take that off and it's full. I'm sure if you've taken it off, you've seen it. Just with the hard water we have here in California, it looks like somebody crushed up a piece of chalk and put it in there, right? It's powder, stuff like that. Now, of course, we have to open that valve back up again. So we turn this valve back on, and then I can see the cup fill up, which should be good. Okay, the next thing, and I like to go on the other side of the machine, because as you can see, the scrub depth is offset. If I were to try to clean up against the wall on this side of the machine, it doesn't look too good. The whole deck is over here, and this side has roller protection as well. So this is the side we like to clean up against the wall. This is also the side we like to inspect the brush. Now there's a button here that has a picture of the pad holder. You just touch it,
Es la que suelta el cepillo.
and the brush comes off, nice and easy. So you don't have a knuckle buster situation here. You can take this out and inspect the brush. And that looks pretty good, that's a nice clean pad. This is also the hula skirt. Now this skirt may need nothing more than to do this to clean it off. But you can lift it off if you want to and take it all the way off. I don't think it's necessary. Have you taken it off before, the whole skirt?
Yeah, when using in the afternoon, take it out.
Okay, good. Good. So the skirt is for two functions. Some of the old scrubbers used to have a rubber blade like this. And it serves two functions. It keeps big dirt from going in, and it keeps water from splashing out. We like what I call the hula skirt. You know what a hula skirt is? I know you do. You've worn it occasionally. The idea of the hula skirt is that it doesn't rip, and it still does its function. It actually pre-sweeps a little bit, and it does fine in keeping water out, and it'll never really rip. So it's a great way to do that. One of the things I like to talk about here is the double click. You'll see there's two ridges here. We want to hear two clicks. We hear one, you see, there's one, and then two. You really want to make sure there's two, so this doesn't touch the ground. Only this touches the ground. This looks good. I don't see any scrapes on here. Sometimes this is all scratched up, and it can scratch your floor. So you guys are doing great again. You're making sure there's two clicks. Some people only put it down one, like this, and that's not good enough. Again, you must have been trained by some other guy a couple of years ago. Was that-
Much better looking person.
Yes, that was me. And so that's very good. And yes, you can flip the pad as needed. I think there's still plenty of life left on that pad. I'm going to leave this off for now. We're going to continue to follow the flow of the solution. So as the machine moves forward, we come back here, and yeah, I smell some older water in here. Sadly, I think that water is a little stagnant. It doesn't smell terrific. I'm going to suggest that we drain this water out and flush this tank. Can you smell it? Can you smell the little bit of a bummer?
That was used Friday, no, Thursday.
It was?
Thursday.
Yeah. It's, it could be,
Then the water, change the water.
yeah, I think we want to rinse out the solution tank, and maybe, Chris, you might have a rinsing agent or a little bit of disinfectant or something to break down the hard water. We've got we've got some stagnant water in there. So it may have been sitting for a long time. 80 hours isn't a ton of hours, and that's okay. Things happen, and you've got two machines, but I would like to, that's not a pleasant smell in there right now.
So should it be drained over certain usage, like every?
Well, if you're using the machine on a consistent basis, how long have they had the machine?
Well, since last year, since probably June of last year.
Yeah, I would like to think that this machine could have 200 hours on it. An hour a day, 200 days, 200 hours. It's got low miles, that's nice. You have plenty of other work you're doing, obviously. We want you to use a lot, but I think that water has been in there without, and if you're happy with the usage, that's fine. It may be a habit, might be once a month, that we drain all that water out, fill this water tank up again with a little bit of rinsing agent, and then flush it one more time. I think it'll reduce that unpleasant smell. It's just something we can talk about. Good. I'm not gonna fall this over yet. Okay, let's take the squeegee off. This is where the magic happens. This is always very important for most people not to leave water on the floor. So, what's nice about some of the newer squeegee designs is that the hose stays here, right? It doesn't have to come off. Now, that hose does come off, by the way, and you can do this and take it out and look at it and clean it. And you can even take water right here and shoot it down there, and that's coming right up there as well. The flow here. So this comes off, and there's a couple things you can do here. They put this little notch right here, so you can set it there. It'll hang right there. And this is worth looking at, and I think you're doing pretty good. It looks like it was used here recently, maybe even today. That's great. The idea is that this squeegee, we do want it to be cleaned on a pretty regular basis, and clean it after every use. Every use, because my dad used to say, how often do you want to put your tools away dirty? Never, right? So whether you hang it there, or if you bring it over here and hit it with a hose, it's going to come off easy when it's fresh. If it sits on there overnight, I'm going to need to get a brush and scrub it, right? And do all this. So we got a little bit of a band issue here. I'll just take this off real quick. A little cockeyed. That may have been me when I took it off. The front blade is supposed to leak, right? That's what this front blade does. That's why these slots are here. That lets water into this channel. The back blade is doing all the work, mainly this leading edge. So it's no different than the windshield wipers on your car. If I have no bugs and I have a new blade, beautiful windshield. This starts to get rounded off. I get something caught in here, just like the bumblebee on the window, and I get that streak. Yeah. So yeah, this could every once in a while it'd be worth taking these blades off like this and really getting this clean. So I got some water here. We could do this every once in a while. This wouldn't be bad. This might be a once a month deal, just to get these blades clean. And they are really nice. Of course, they're low miles, right? This thing only has 80 hours on this blade, so it's pretty nice. Now, I don't think you need to flip it yet. It takes a long time to wear that off on a terrazzo floor, no less, right?
And you guys understand that blade can be switched and flipped
Yeah.
for longer use.
Yeah, you can flip it and turn it. So they say you get 4 usable edges. So you can use this edge. So you use it once, turn it, and then you can flip it and turn it. So technically you have 4 usable edges. I think when this one wears pretty bad, it usually gets past both sides. So my belief is that, you know, in a lot of cases I see people that get 2 edges and they call it done. Okay, so these thumb screws are gonna do their job here in a minute. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit just so we don't have any air leaks. And we'll set this blade in here, like that. Get this big stuff out of the way. And there's a couple of little bosses in here. You can see where they're at. Bear with me. Here. There we go. And there, once those are in those spots there, then I'll make sure this is backed off a little bit. If you look on this piece here, there is a little dimple there. Do you see a little dimple?
Yeah.
And that's what we want the bolt head to hit. I'm gonna slide this in here like that. Get this in place. And I know you guys have done this because it wouldn't look like this if you didn't do it at least once. So somebody's done a pretty good job of maintaining this thing. You don't want to over tighten these. It's just to put a little tension on that band so it doesn't slide out. There it goes. Don't give it enough tension there. That's good. See what's going on over here. That's good. Yeah, that's good. That's not going anywhere. The back one is much easier. So easy to do the back one. This pulls off here. Now these have what I call the mushrooms. And if you look here, these plastic pieces have a mushroom shape or a nail head, right? So again, it looks really good. I'll give it a little love here since we're here. A little harder to get off because it's been on there a while.
And the other reason why we take these out is so the squeegee blade remains flexible. If it gets stiffer, it doesn't pick up as well when it's on the floor. That's why this is important. And when we clean everything up, we're going to go out to how often. Because these are just little things, but they add up over the whole machine.
Okay, so this will go on here like this. Now, putting on this band, there's a little trick I like. I would also suggest, when you take this squeegee assembly off, make sure that this is good, yeah? There's no hair in here, which is great. Because sometimes I see these are just locked up. There's so much stuff in there, and it gets a flat spot because it's not even rolling. So, good job. Thank you. Okay, so here's my technique for putting this on. Put that first one on. Hand here, over and in. Over and in. Over and in. See how I do that? And you guys can practice this. I'm not going to make you do this on your own in front of everybody. You've obviously, somebody's done it before because it was on pretty good. And then the last one is up and over. And it's good. Now, this here makes this wheel go up and down. And that allows you to adjust this. So obviously it's like this, water's gonna come through here and this is gonna be too flat on the ground. If it was like this, you're gonna have water coming out the middle and only the edges are hitting the ground. It looks pretty even wear to me, so this is probably adjusted pretty well. So I'm gonna put it on here. And once I get that on there, I'm gonna put the hose on after I lower the blade. We'll see how things look here. Power this up. Now you know there's a recognition switch here. It won't work unless somebody's sitting, which is a safety feature. But what I'm going to do is just lower the squeegee blade first. And then, nudge to see where we're at. Really good. That's good. I think we're kissing the floor nicely. Yeah. There's a nice even contact there. So that's how I like to check that. Okay, so now where's the water going? Going up the hose. And its first thing it's gonna do is come up this tube and go into the basket, which seems to be doing its job. Why do we want a basket here? 2 reasons. We don't want a bunch of dirt clogging the drain hose, and we don't want a bunch of dirt clogging your floor drain. Chris and I can probably tell you, we've been to so many schools and places where the mop sink is really slow and overflowing because so much dirt is going into the drain. So I always tell people this is like a plumber. We gave you a plumber because when the clogs drain, a lot of places have to call a plumber. You guys might have a snake or something to take care of your drain. But we want to make sure that this goes into solid waste. I have been to places where I've seen guys take this out and they put it right in the sink. Wow. The idea is to make sure this doesn't go in the sink. So I'm glad that that's doing its job. Not crazy dirt, but take a look in there. It would be nice if we could maybe once a month spray this down, maybe get a brush, some gloves on, and just kind of wipe that residue out. I think it's healthy for you. It's not gonna hurt the machine so much, but I don't want you guys having this to be a big petri dish. This is a science experiment, right? If we looked at this under a microscope, there's some living organisms in here that are probably not healthy for us to be breathing into our lungs. Mold, mildew, those kind of things are growing in a wet, dark environment. So clean this out as best as you can. Leave this open because air will prevent mold and mildew, and it's going to make it smell better. I think you can get a spray bottle from Supply Solutions with some disinfectant spray to kill the stuff that we can't see right now. And I think that's going to be I'm more worried about you than the machine. I don't want you around this stuff that can be causing your eyes and allergies and that kind of stuff. Okay, there's a opening here, so this literally just opens up and you can empty that out, and you rinse that out and of course it pops right back on there. The ball flow is good. You can take this off by just doing this right here, and this is for Friday night. Beer pong. But it's also, unless you had a flood here, this tank can pick up everything that this tank puts on the ground. So I don't think you'll ever have to worry about this getting overfilled. We're going to talk about the dilution control in a minute. If you're mixing the chemical right, I don't think you're going to have an issue with a bunch of foam. We can talk about defoamer. We usually talk about that in carpet machines, but it's not uncommon to have defoamer in this tank as well. So make sure this is clean and moving. It is, which is great. Put that back on there again. No tools required. Just snaps in place and the ball's moving. Good. I like to tell people, keep this area very clean because this gasket, if there's a good seal up here, there'll be good suction down there. If I did that, no suction. So we want to make sure that's down and good. And the litmus test usually is good seal. See it pulled up. It's on there really good. So that's good news. Okay. Any questions so far? I think it's all stuff you guys probably are familiar with. No preguntas?
No. What kind of liquid do you use?
Okay. Let's talk about that. This is your onboard dilution control. I don't know what's in here, but it's probably some sort of a neutral cleaner. It smells pretty good. Maybe a disinfectant cleaner. Do we know what that is?
I don't know. It smells like Fabuloso.
Algo así, fabuloso con Neutral Cleaner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Neutral Floor Cleaner.
Yeah.
Ya es el químico más.
So, what this does, it takes the water that's in here, it takes the chemical in here, and they mix at the brush. So you never have to worry about what's in here. It should be water only. And you can change this to whatever product makes you guys happy. I would follow his recommendation. I'd like to know what he forgot about chemicals. but we can get you a nice, neutral, perhaps floor cleaner, something that's compatible with terrazzo, something that's compatible with your pads that might even pop a shine on this terrazzo, so there's another conversation there. We will set this dilution ratio. It is already now set at a very low dilution ratio right now of 1 to 400. I think if I hit this bottle one more time, it goes to 1 ounce per gallon, which is fine. Almost every chemical in the industry, if you're getting a good value, it should be used at 1 ounce per gallon for everyday cleaning. If you have to use more than that, it's either you have a real dirty floor or you're buying a chemical that they're selling you too much water and not enough chemical, in my opinion. Chris may agree with me on that.
No, 1 ounce per gallon is perfect.
Yeah, very good.
That's because the more chemical there is, the more chance there is of a spuma. And foam, you guys just had your other unit repaired that the vacuum motor was bad. Generally speaking, that's because it's foam, as Pete said. That water has to get all the way up there, and we want to make sure there's no foam in the dirty water tank. That's why I asked.
To put the pad on, it's pretty much, we don't want you to have to crawl under there like crazy. So you can push this right under there like that, and then get it centered. And if that's centered right, I tell everybody, if you come over here, there's really no palabras here. It's all pictures, right? In every language in the world, green is go and red is stop. So when I hit that button, centered right.
Sometimes it's the first time, sometimes.
Yep, see. Let me make sure I get it centered right.
Una vez que sí a la primera entra y a la vez en la cabeza, en la segunda, depende. Pero sí así. Ajá, bien.
Overshot it. See it? I'm gonna do the old-fashioned way for now.
Yeah, it's not the first time, so sometimes no.
Es el único detalle que tiene.
Ajá, sí, son, es lo que más o menos está difícil, pero...
No la agarra y-
Can you hit the green button for me now? Just the green one? Okay, I think we got it in the right spot. Let me see. We have another red. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about the dashboard. Did you want to pull up? It's very satisfying. You want to pull up that possible? It's very like your phone. You got the fingers. Look at that. Nice, 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 nice. Okay, I'm going to power the machine off. You have two keys here.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about this. I don't think we have to use it. I think it's set good from what I see. But this is the super user key. Lets you change things. Maximum speed, maximum water flow, different dilution ratios, reverse alarm on, reverse alarm off, maximum turning speed, a lot of different parameters, right? The factory settings are pretty good. I would keep this key separate somewhere, because that way, if you lose one key, you don't lose two keys.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you can still use this to work.
That is no work.
It'll work. Let me show you something. If you put that in,
The only is for settings.
no, but you can put it in work mode.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah. So it's going to show a wrench here in a minute. See how this is 1, 2, 3 buttons here. Settings 1, 2, 3 log. So I can go to settings. I can exit, 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 forward max, forward speed, all those speeds. Hold on. Display brightness. Get to the M. Okay, 0 to 1. Chemical 1. Okay, good. Now when I power it off, there is a work mode. And I think it's press and hold these two buttons, but let me look. Work. Down here.
Oh, yeah.
So now I can operate.
Use,
So if an emergency, you can use that key. Now, you put that key somewhere else,
yeah.
and then you just use the blue key all the time. You won't see that settings menu, right? So keep that yellow key somewhere else. And if you lose the blue key, you can put the yellow key in, press here, and press work.
Yeah.
Okay. What's that?
That's like the level for.
That's water.
Water.
Looks like water to me, right? To water.
Water, chemical.
That's from the science class. That's chemical bottle, beaker, right?
Yeah, beaker.
Chemical, water. Everybody knows what this is. It's kind of it's wimpy. That's good. People get sad here, right? We don't want something loud. It's scary enough being in here with all these. Okay.
Trying.
This is brush off. See the arrows? Brush off, right?
Vacuum. Only
Vacuum in quiet mode. Do you see that picture? It's the finger over the lips. Shh. We see people use that in hospitals sometimes. Maybe here, but I think you don't have to. It just slows the vacuum down. And we all know what this is. Green is go and red is stop, right? Now, there's our battery. It's great. We got new batteries. It's full. Your water is either low, medium, or high. So that's good. 1, 2, 3. There's a fourth setting there that we could add with the yellow key, but you've got tight sealed floors. We're not cleaning a tennis court where the water soaks in, right? So I don't think you need that. Chemical bottle is either low or high, and the high is still only right at about 1 ounce per gallon. That's water only, which I don't recommend cleaning with water only.
Correct.
Because you just need a little bit of soap. And that's what this first setting is. 1 to 400 is a very small amount of chemical. And you know what? That's why foam hand soap is pretty popular. You don't need a lot to do some cleaning. But I see you. I'm going to recommend going to that one. Yeah, I think so. Because it's still just 1 ounce per gallon. And you got foot traffic in here, and you got wind and bringing in dust. I think it's good. It's better for the machine and the pads and the floor. It makes the water a little wetter, and you're going to be fine. So if you got those set, once you hit that, now that's normal pressure. See the weight on top of the brush? I don't think you'll ever need this, but I think it's my job to show you. If you press and hold this, 2 weights. More pressure. Are we in a machine shop? Are we in an automotive with grease and oil?
Yes, fine.
1 is going to be just fine. Just fine. You got a beautiful floor. You're using red pads. You're going to
And
be
plus you'll get more runtime because it uses more battery when it's
Yes, and your pads are going to last longer and
Es
everything else.
como para como levantar más acá con manchas que están muy cargadas. Aquí no está bien.
I think you're good. We have some training videos. If you hit this button, everything comes up.
Hey Pete, what I was going to recommend, and this is at the end, one of the things that you showed me that I like is I get specific in areas. When you put this away, my preference would be to take it apart, which means the brush comes off the bottom because somebody has to look at the pad. Does it need to be changed? Plus, when you clean this out, and Pete showed here, which I thought was great, you take it back, rinse everything out, take the squeegee off and put it here. The reason for that is that smell you're smelling is because this is always left here. So if we take this off, take the brush off, we can inspect it. Take the squeegee out and hang it here. We know that whoever goes and uses it, the last person who cleaned it, has done everything. If you walk up to the machine and everything's on it, the assumption is nobody cleaned it. Does that make sense? Because you guys know how to use this. If somebody else was to walk in and try to use this machine, they'd have to put it together. Does that make sense? So that will help keep this cleaner because you will go in and clean it up. You'll clean this up. And when you walk up to it, you'll automatically know, I see the pad's in good shape. I see this is dry. I see this is off. You guys are good to go. It's a little thing, but as we talked about the maintenance of the machine, one of the things, and Donnie, I'm saying this for you, is there's certain things that we want you to do that are part of maintenance, not repair. If you guys get better at what you do, you replace the squeegee blades, perfect. You're changing the chemical, perfect. No one wants you to become a mechanic, but these little things add up. So I'm going to stop.